Hey guys, okay, this is really not my type of video, so I'm gonna apologize if I act weird or whatever in this, or if I start to sound weird, but I'm doing this because I was one of the people, I was out when Aaron Hedges was found. One of the biggest mysteries ever, really. Not ever, but like a pretty big, weird mystery. And just there are questions that exist within the internet of what happened to him. There are questions that exist within us of was it covered up? Was it his friends? And for us, for the reason I'm making this video and doing this, even though I'm going to be really awkward, and this is not, I'm not somebody who makes the mystery videos, but if you guys are tuning in, thank you for coming in for this. It's because the story that's being told in other videos, though it's the story that's out there, it's not the story that and I've been told it, I mean, secondhand, but like, it's not the story that we who found Aaron Hedges' body or his bones. It's not the same story that we were told based off of somebody who was close with it or who like knew the area and who knew the situation, who had been involved in the initial search. So, little, I'm gonna share this completely with my point of view, I guess, because that's just the only point of view that I know. Well, I know all the others, but so I guess I'll just start with the timeline of hearing the story and then, or of my dad hearing the story and then when we found him. So it was the night before it was like Wednesday night, I want to say, that my dad was out with my brothers, and the ranch manager, and I think the boys, my brothers, were still fishing. Um, and my dad was swapping stories with the ranch manager of the dude ranch we were staying at. And he told him of Aaron Hedges. He, from his point of view, and I'll tell the full story in a second, but the guys casually mentioned that Aaron, like, had kind of gone off missing. And then they casually mentioned it in a bar sort of thing. So it was a little bit weird, but they just had never found him and they were thinking, oh, his friends helped him fake his disappearance to Canada. I'll explain the full story in a second. So that was told that night. And then the next day, we're leaving the dude ranch, so we were guests, and we're leaving horseback for an all-day ride. I forget the point of where we were going. That's not really relevant, but it was what we were doing that day. We were going pretty far, like over the mountain and then through. Anyways, we were leaving. It was my parents, my little brother, myself, my aunt, and a wrangler that were going out horseback. So 6 horses. But we're leaving, and they'd already taken a ride up the same route that morning. Like they'd already left maybe 10 minutes before us. Um, I don't remember the exact order. I think my aunt and brother, oh, my grandma might have been there. Okay, well, 6 or 7 of us. I don't remember who all was there completely. I just remember that crew. But so I think my aunt and brother are in front of me, and then I am in line, and then my dad, and then my mom, and then the wrangler. He was at the back. Just how they go. We were following the trail. So I am going up, and I kind of remember it kind of well. But then my dad suddenly kind of stops behind me, but like waited until we stopped. I think he told us to stop or something. And he alerts the wrangler, and he's like, "Hey, look over here." And then they start radioing because the wrangler carried a radio that would like send him to the range. Yeah, like a walkie-talkie. So he radios to the range manager. It was like, "Hey, well, we found Aaron," sort of thing. Because my dad like looked over there and he's like, "Oh, that's it. There's Aaron." He just knew it. And he took a handful of pictures. And I mean, we kind of just knew, but we took the pictures. We have the pictures of the skull. Um, and then my dad took his button-down shirt off and like set it on the like fence post because it was like a barbed wire fence. But then he set it on the fence post so that he could mark the spot because from there you would obviously see it. But yeah, and then we kept going. And later that day, we found a spotting scope in camo pants, and it was confirmed that we'd found Aaron. Um, Kind of crazy. Did not sleep well that night, to be honest. So it was confirmed. I think the ranch manager called the cops or whatever. Their weird note, their cell service was not the best, but he got in touch with authorities, and they came, gathered up what they could find. I think that there were a couple artifacts that were scattered right there, and then they recovered whatever percentage of him they recovered, and that was that. And then I think that the ranch manager, I think it was that night, if not a little bit later, that he was told that if he found anything else that was belonging to Aaron, to bury it. Don't even call authorities, they're done. So our family just has always shared this story because it's weird, because we go to different dude ranches every year, and it's just weird. Kind of weird events, and I'll go into the full story of what my dad was told. But we did come back the next year, and they were just talking about how, and maybe even that year, how they were just talking about how many times, because it was 2 years after Aaron had gone missing almost, and so how many times they had taken rides past that. And it initially, the first half hour, they were my dad was joking to the wrangler about like giving the other two wranglers who'd gone out earlier crap of like, hey, you didn't see it, whatever. And I think we thought that cows had maybe been in the area, so maybe they'd eaten down, but they had gone past Aaron so many times. They said, a handful of times a week, 2 or 3 times a week. So maybe 100 times. They were just kind of saying how many tens of times had they gone past and not seen anything. But okay, so the story. And I try and take notes when I start listening to podcasts about Aaron's disappearance. So obviously there's the main story that's out, and I don't know every single detail, but I know a couple of the differences. So we were not told about the mule like scattering Aaron's stuff or whatever, or about the caches or whatever that he had in the area. But what was told to my dad and has been shared is that Aaron and his buddies, put it that way, got in a fight over the mule, and Aaron just kind of left him with the mule. It's not, we don't really know on that. And then they had casually mentioned it. A couple days later, they're at the bar or whatever, and people are like, "Oh, hey, where's Aaron?" And they're like, "Oh, we don't know. He kind of left us a couple days ago, whatever." But just super casual. Okay, weird. Just one weird thing about him. Just casually mention it. And then they showed up. So then the ranch manager is talking about the buddies, because in a lot of other videos they've sounded like good people, and they might be, but just from the stories that I've heard, that's not how they are. So the ranch manager was saying his buddies, when they showed up to help with the search, let's point out, a couple days later after that big snowstorm. So the big snowstorm came in, the ranch people, and Aaron's bones were found, literally a 10-minute walk up from the barn. Like, I don't know what exactly happened with the mule. If he took off with the mule, if he didn't, that was never really shared with us. But if he did, like, the mule could have easily gone down to be with the range horses, sort of thing. It was that close. But there was that big snowstorm, whatever. So they showed up after the snowstorm. And the range had dogs, obviously. And I guess just their attitude, like threatening to shoot the dog when the dog like came right up and was, being a dog. That was a little, alarming to the ranch manager. Obviously I don't know why it wasn't shared from his point of view, and I'm gonna keep the dude ranch anonymous, but they knew who they are. So that happened. And then just, I guess, the guys' overall demeanors when they were like on the search, because you guys can kind of tell my point of view on what I think could have happened. But it was just like when they show up for a search and they're acting more grumpy and angry about it, that's a little suspicious. We know that I don't think Aaron was that. It's hard to say, but I don't think he was that great of a person. Like, I think he was having issues with his wife and whatever. So it was believed on their side for a couple of years, the search party, that he'd kind of faked his own disappearance and taken off to Canada. Because where they were in the crazies and whatever, if he would have set it up, that could have helped them be completely set up for him to go to Canada and fake his disappearance, sort of thing. Start all over. But then, so, that was definitely a possibility all along. Kind of something interesting to note, and maybe why the authorities were not big on investigating Aaron's case as more than just saying he died from the exposure to the elements. Um, it is weird people talk about where his boots were found because that's been another story. I would not just watch this because this is just my point of view from having been there when Aaron's skull was found and having the pictures on my phone. Um, excuse me. The boots were found literally like 5 miles from where Aaron's bones were. The Dude Ranch could show you where that was, but like they were not at all close. But the one thing we suspect with the boots is they could have been a spare pair that he would have set down quick to not be carrying to. So that's just a little interesting one. And then I've heard about the like drink stuff, and I don't know anything about that. But yeah. So one other thing I was gonna say. I don't know the status of those who were with Aaron, but it is believed from our point of view, I don't think they're still in the country. Like, I don't think they were contacted at all, or they may have been, but I don't think there was any stuff from them once he was found. So I don't know what the deal was, but it's just I want to get this out because I've heard the story that we heard through the ranch manager, and then I've heard the story that is publicly out, and it's weird. It's weird that somebody went missing like that, but it's just kind of weird what all is out there to the public. Um, we were told to not publish pictures, so I'm not going to do that for the sake of Aaron and his family. But I just want this out. If you guys have questions that I can try and answer, put them in the comments. I'll try and check. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys are enjoying this video. Thank you.